Hello everybody, Thijs here again, and this time with another review, and this one is super exciting. It's about the cards that were announced yesterday. Around 50 cards, the last cards of the Whispers of the Old Gods expansion are announced, and we're gonna review them. I'm gonna be a bit fast with the cards that I think are not relevant or a bit bad, because there are so many cards. I don't want to making the video too long. And the cards that are just, I consider not being that good, are gonna get less time. So let's move on to the first card. It is Zealous Initiate. Death Rattle, give a random friendly minion +1/+1. 1 mana 1/1 is bad. Death Rattle is a slow effect. Giving a random minion +1/+1 is not good as a Death Rattle. The minion has value of 1 mana 2/2, but the problem with Death Rattle is your opponent can play into it. He clears off the other minions first, and yeah, then this one doesn't even get the value. It's a slow card, Death Rattle. I don't think you will see it much play. It's not a good Death Rattle. It's the value you get from the Death Rattle is really low. It's really slow, and it's hard to pull off. So I don't think you will see this card being played. Oh, this is an no. This is an choose one from the Druid. So we will come to this one later when the real card is there. It's the same. The Usher of Souls, 5 mana card, 5/6 for the Warlock. So 5 mana 5/6 is already a really okay stat. Whenever a friendly minion dies, give your Cartoon +1/+1. So you wanna have, like, you need to have this on board, and then your Cartoon gets +1/+1 if friendly minion dies. For Cartoon decks, okay, but probably one of the weaker Cartoon cards that is out there. It seems like they don't really want to have Warlock as a Cartoon deck, because I think like other classes gained really really strong Cartoon cards, and this one is not that strong. Yeah, 5 mana 5/6 is really good for a 5-drop. So you will play it in a Cartoon Warlock deck, but I think there are better decks to play Cartoon in. But I see with the other cards we're gonna go to soon, you will see that there are really powerful Cartoon cards. Will be a card that you will just play in a Cartoon deck, in your Warlock deck, good enough, but not will not get an place in any other Warlock type, I think. Twisting Worgen. So we have the Worgen. We have already the 1 mana 2/1 stealth Worgen, what is reasonable. 2 mana 3/1 stealth, how is that? I mean, that's not bad. 2 mana 3/1, because the stealth makes it for sure better. It's still like an aggressive minion. You will play it more in... like, I can see it having a spot in really aggressive decks, like an aggro hunter, where sometimes Worgen Infiltrator was already considered. I think it is a reasonable card you can put into your aggro, but it's like not. Besides really an aggro hunter, I think the value is low. So you really like, the value is too low of this card to play in any other archetype than in a really aggressive deck. I like the stealth. You can also like buff it while it's stealth, so that's good. But yeah, it's probably just good for the really, really aggressive decks, but otherwise the value of a 2 mana 3/1 is just too low. Oh, and here is, do we already have the, yeah, here it is, guys. This is gonna be the new Dr. 7, man. Like, holy shit, this card is so insane. I can't believe how strong this card is. Luckily, it's only for Cartoon decks, but the card, man, holy shit, it's so good. Twin Emperor Vek'lor, it has already entombed himself, like 7 mana 4/6 taunt, Battle Cry. If your Cartoon has at least 10 attack, and Cartoon starts with an 6/6 attack, and there are a lot of Cartoon cards that are having that are buffing Cthulhu fast, you have to play like 2 Cthulhu buffs before, and then it will just go crazy. If your Cthulhu is at least 10 attacks, summon another Emperor, and it is an Emperor is just a copy of this card as we saw here. This is the Emperor, but just like the same. So when you play this card, 7 mana 4/6 taunt. If you have to consider how much is a 4/6 taunt worth, you can compare it to Druid of the Claw. Druid of the Claw is a 5 mana 4/6 taunt if you put it in the draw into the taunt form. I think that is worth 5 mana. Just paying 2 more mana for making another 4/6 with taunt. That card is sick, man. I think this card is gonna be... I mean, it's only for Cthulhu decks. It's a legendary, so you can only play 1 off of this card. And I think that is really important. If you go play also 2 off of these cards, that will be super sick. But 7 mana, double 4/6. I think that's crazy. I think that's just crazy. Value really high for Cthulhu deck. Yeah, and 10 attack is really not that difficult to get. So, I think we will see this in every... Of course we will see this in every Cthulhu deck. It's only a Cthulhu card, so I think that's really important. Otherwise it will be super strong. But yeah, really strong legendary here coming out of Whispers of the Old Gods. And it is like, you can play it in every class. So in every class you can try it out. Pretty good card. What do we have here? Twilight Geomancer. Taunt. Battle Cry. Give you Cthulhu Taunt. So Cthulhu 10 mana card. Gains Taunt immediately. Not sure how important that is, because Cthulhu will be often used as a finisher. How good will it be for Cthulhu? Yeah, I don't think a Taunt really matters that much. 2 mana 1/4 Taunt is not that good. It's okay, like you can play it like an Armorsmith is also 1/4, but that's not that powerful effect. It has Taunt himself, and you give Cthulhu. It's okay for... I think it's okay for Cthulhu decks, but I think Cthulhu is really often going to be a finisher. I'm not sure if you really need Taunt. I mean, it has direct Taunt already himself, because you die if you don't kill Cthulhu. So the only reason why you want it to have Taunt is you play against an aggressive deck that is gonna ignore it. And Cthulhu normally resolves that problem because it deals with every minion on the board. So I think this card will be okay, but I think there will be better cards to put into your Cthulhu decks. This is the Twilight Elemental card summoned from the weapon from the Shaman. We will come to that, or I reviewed that card already. But here's the art of the Twilight Elemental. It's from the weapon. If your weapon dies, you summon a Twilight Elemental. It was the 5/2 weapon. No, it was a 5 mana 4/2 weapon. So I reviewed that one. I think it's okay, but I think it will not be seen too much in Shaman. They have a hard time healing back, and they have already a lot of value cards now. And here is what I said while I was talking about. This is like one of the insane class cards for Cthulhu. If your Cthulhu has at least 10 attack, restore 10 health. I mean, 5 mana 6/5 it's already good, guys. We don't have to talk about that. And 5 mana 6/5 stats is good. And having this powerful of, like, having an effect like this where you restore 10 health, you will just see it in every priest Cthulhu deck, of course. But every class gains 1 Cthulhu card that is just super good, super insane, and that is what they want to do. Every class has a specific way of making his Cthulhu work in their class, and yeah, this card is just gonna be insane. You will see it 2 offs every priest deck, of course. They really try to make the Cthulhu hype going, and also with multiple classes. I will say it's the best in Priest, Warrior, and Druid. And yeah, this is an insane card that Priest gains by... you will play 2 offs in all your Cthulhu decks in your Priest. Stormcrack. Deal 4 damage to a minion, overload to 1. So we are losing the Crackle, and this is more like an... Like, Crackle is gonna rotate out, and this is like... The Crackle, this is like some kind of no RNG Crackle that is for minions. I think it's an okay card, but considering Lightning Bolt is deal true damage for 1 mana, I don't think you will see that too often. Crackle was always used for burst. They didn't really play it for board. You saw a Crackle being played in Aggro Shaman and not being played in midrange Shaman, and I don't think this is gonna be much better than a Lightning Bolt that deals 1 less damage, but you have the consistency more of, or you are paying 1 less mana, and you can also choose it to use on the face. So I think it's an okay card, but it's a worse version of Lightning Bolt. I don't think you will play this over Lightning Bolt. It's like a more consistent Crackle, but only rolls low and or lower. I don't think this is better than either Crackle or Lightning Bolt, because it also is limited to hit on board on minions. Cool card, but I don't think it will make it. Even in midrange Shaman, Lightning Bolt will probably still be better than Stormcrack. And Shaman has already really good removal. Squirming Tentacle. 3 mana 2/4 Taunt. Well, that's not good enough. 3 mana 2/4 is just not gonna be good enough for a Taunt, I think. We have the Monkey for the Warrior. What is a 3 mana 3/4? What is okay to good? 3 mana 2/4 stat-wise just not that good. In early game, every minion has a Taunt anyway. I mean, you cannot ignore in 3 mana 2/4 at turn 3. Maybe in like some kind of heavy Taunt deck that it finds value, where you can also give some stats. But I mean, it's an okay card. You can also in Arena, you can pick it up if you don't have better options. For sure, fine, but not. It's not. Yeah, it has no insane value. It has no super crazy stats, so you will not find this card in much constructed decks. Maybe in like a Bolster Warrior that you can make this card reasonable, but it's still worse than the Monkey there, and yeah, not gonna be good enough for constructed too much. Still gonna be fine to pick up from time to time in Arena. This is a Spider you gained from another Hunter card, so we will come to that card. Southsea Squidface. 4 mana 4/4 Pirate. Give your weapon +2/+2. The pirate hype is real, guys. Well, if there is a class where pirates are fine, it is actually Rogue. Rogue has already really good value with pirates. Is the strongest pirates class because they have already 2 or 3 pirate class himself and can go really aggressive. And give your weapon +2 attack is just an okay death rattle. Yeah, I think 4 mana 4/4 is reasonable. It's a bit weak, but reasonable. And together with all the pirates, you will see that like there is one card where this card will be being played, and that will be the Pirate Rogue. And I think Pirate Rogue, yeah, this card has a spot in Pirate Rogue. If it's gonna be good enough, is Pirate Rogue gonna be in the meta? I think it will be still too weak. Only getting this as a new card, but it has potential, and this is a good card. It's a good card for Pirate Rogue. It's a bit annoying that it's a death rattle, so it's like pirates want to be aggressive, and this is not an aggressive pirate card. It's a 4 mana 4/4, and you gain your weapon gains 2 attack as a death rattle, so it's really slow version. Also, Blade Fury being nerfed really hurts this deck. But yeah, if Pirate Rogue is ever gonna be a thing, this card will be in it. This is also another card. Shatter. Destroy a frozen minion. 2 mana mage card. Man, and this is a really cool card. Destroy. I think this card is pretty good, considering meta might also go a bit more slower. And just destroy a minion, like just having the effect of destroy a frozen minion. How is this card gonna be in Freeze Mage? I mean, I can see this card being okay in Freeze Mage, actually. Like, this card is gonna be... I'm not sure if it's gonna be really good. It's for sure gonna be tried out because destroy... This card really just depends on meta. I don't think this is a card you're gonna play 2 of. I think this card might even get a spot. Like, if the greedy cards, like the really insane minions, are gonna have a spot in the meta, this is a card you might wanna get into your Freeze Mage deck just to have that removal on a frozen minion. Consider an Ragnaros or like something really big. I can see it as a one-off in Freeze Mage. If you play a Tempo Mage or Control Mage, I think it might be okay. You have the synergy with Water Elemental. You have the new card that has a really strong Frozen effect. You have like also already some freeze cards with the Frostbolt. I mean, the value is a bit like you need to play a card before this card works. So you need to play like multiple cards. But yeah, I think this card can be used as an okay removal. I think it might be fine. You need to play a value deck to make this card work, because it takes away value out of your deck. You need to play a card before. But yeah, I can see this card as a reasonable card. I'm gonna consider playing this card in Freeze Mage. I think it can be fine as a one-off in Freeze Mage, and maybe like a heavy Tempo control value Freeze Mage can also be a thing. So really cool design. We'll see if it will be fine in any place. Shadow Strike, 3 mana, deal 5 damage to an undamaged charter. I don't know what to say, but this looks pretty strong. Like, holy shit. Okay, it's an undamaged target, so... But consider that your opponent plays a 4 or a 5 drop and Rogue can just deal 5 damage to it. And then they like SI afterwards or deal with the weapon it afterwards. I think this is a card that the Rogue really needs now. Rogue got pretty hard nerfed with the Blade Fury, and I think this is a really strong kind of removal card. I mean, deal 5 damage, it's... Consider it to what is out now, like you have to play a Wisp for 4 and that is like, you need to combo it. Having a 3 mana 5 damage is super big. Like, there was always like the kill command that only you have to have a beast on board. It's a really heavy control rogue card. And you cannot target the... Well, you can target the face, but... not when it is damaged. And I think this is a really good rogue card. I think you might just play 2 of in a rogue deck. You have to consider how much you can go with, how much spells you can play. But come on, 5 damage on a minion. Like, 3 mana, it's not a removal. But it's almost as good as a removal. And it's just only 3 mana, no backfire. I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be... I think you might... in a control rogue kind of deck... Mid-range rogue, I think you might play 2 off. For sure you're gonna play 1 off, but I think you might even play 2 off. Also good card to pick up for arena for sure. Like rogue has just so much ways to deal 5. If they deal 5 damage, they have so much ways to clean it up with dealing 1 or 2 damage afterwards. So I think it's a really good card for rogue. Yeah, it's almost like a fireball. Yeah, it's a really good card. Value wise, super good. This is also a token. Selfless Hero, 1 mana, 2/1 paladin card. Death Rattle, give a random friendly minion Divine Shield. So, considering Minibot is gonna rotate out, we having here on 1 mana, 2/1, no Divine Shield himself, but if if it dies, you're gonna give a minion Divine Shield. So what you want, you play this at turn 1, and then you play like a minion, like a Knife Juggler turn 2. Your Knife Juggler gets Divine Shield. Like that's what you want. Of course it has to survive, and 1 HP doesn't survive often. But if it goes off, it's good. It's really good. And what can go wrong? Like, you can also play like 2 minions before. Like, this is a card gonna be really good in an aggro paladin. Or a more aggro to mid-range paladin. I think this card is gonna be, like, paladin gets hugely nerfed. And I think aggro paladin, like, considering Divine Favor is still out there, I think this card can be really good for aggro paladin. Like, 1 mana, 2/1 are really nice stats. And getting a Divine Shield is worth a lot. If you consider Minibot being 2 mana 2/2 and having a Divine Shield, the Divine Shield was almost worth 1 mana on the Minibot. And we know that this card is a more like it's a death rattle, so you will not always get it, and it's a bit more questionable. And you won't get 1 mana from the Divine Shield because of the more situational use. But it's a good card. For sure a good paladin card in aggro pally. It hurts aggro paladin a lot with Muster and Minibot rotating out. But this will be a card that gets a spot there. So I think in aggro pally, you will see this card. This is a card that is worth more than 1 mana for sure. So yeah, good card. Happy that paladin gets also new cards, because paladin was considered super strong, but paladin is losing a lot and they really need this extra early drop, and I think this is a good card. It's also a token. This is a paladin weapon. 3 mana 3/2 Relying Blade. Battlecry, give +1/+1 to your minions with Divine Shield. Ooh. That's hard to pull off. That's really hard. So 3 mana 3/2 is already nice. Is already reasonable stats. You have like a Fire Vortex. You pay 1 more mana. With Death Rattles rotating out. Like the problem, Fire Vortex was still really good. Problem was that there were a lot of tokens. That it was not that good anymore. But it's still good. The Battle Cry, not that. I mean, if it gives +1/+1 to 1 minion, I don't think it's that good. And Divine Shield is just good because of the shield. The +1/+1 doesn't matter that much. I don't think it's that good. You don't want to play, and Paladin has already so much, like you have the True Silver already. It's okay, it's cool. They really want to make Divine Shield Paladin a thing, and maybe that can be a thing. But it's like the same problem as we have for the warrior weapon. But it's a 3 mana 3/2. Gets another charge if you have like taunts on the board. I don't think it's just not that. I mean, even if it gives +2/+2, then it's still. I still think Cockhammer is better. Getting a Divine Shield. Getting a Divine Shield, have another charge. Yeah, I think it's not good. I think it's a bit worse version of Cockhammer, and I don't think we will see it play much. You can always pick it up. Also in Arena, where weapons have a lot of value, you will pick it up more often. But yeah, cool design. A bit scared that it will not see it being too much played. Yeah, and here is the corrupted version, guys, of Annoyatron, the Psych-o-Tron. 5 mana, 3/4, Taunt Divine Shield. Yeah, I don't think this is too exciting of a card. I think the design is super cool. Having the evil version of the Psych-o-Tron. Also, mechs are getting way worse in the new expansion, with all the mechs are rotating out. So the synergy, this being a mech, will not do much. 5 mana, 3/4, really bad stats. Divine Shield can be worth a lot, but not for a 5 mana card often, and not for 3/4 stats. I think the card will not be played much. I think it's not a good card. I think it's a cool design. So let's just keep that card positive, okay? Cool design, but nah, it's not a good card. And Divine Shield on low attack minions, and an Annoyatron is annoying. This card is like later in the game where it's just less annoying. Considering to, yeah, consider it to Sludge Belcher, right? It's worse version, yeah, it's worse. Divine Shield for some classes just gets rid of so easily. Primal Fusion, give a minion +1/+1 for each of your totems. So really cheap spell for the shaman. Can also get really powerful, and consider totems are not only your hero power. We also have the totem golem, but isn't just a totem himself. Mana type totem. Tuskar Totemic summons a totem. So consider that that this doesn't necessarily need to be with your hero power. And if you have a 1 mana spell, get +2/+2, that's already really good, right? We have like some cards that give +2/+2 for 2 mana. Like, it's so cheap, like 1 mana. How can you go wrong with this spell? I think it's an, I'm not sure, like, Shaman has so many good new cards, so for me it's really hard to analyze how good all the Shamans are, how they will fit together. Like, this is of course more designed for a Totem Shaman, and yeah, in a Totem Shaman getting this, like, for 1 mana you cannot really go wrong. It is not like, it will never get like totally explosive, and it's just for 1 minion. So, but considering that it can just give sometimes +3/+3, for +1/+1 you might get better trades. +2/+2 sounds for me fair. I think it will be good, and in Totem Shaman that now even having minions that already can play, you even have minions that are totems now. I think that's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be really good in Totem Shaman. I still think, the thing is, I think Totem Shaman cannot make it. I think mid-range Shaman, aggro Shaman are the Shamans to go with. Powerball Tentacles! Yeah. I guess they wanted a Tentacle card for Priest. Not a good card. We have Felons. And Felons is a 3 mana card. Give a minion +2/+4 and gain spell damage. This one gives 2 health more. There is no way that 2 mana is worth more than giving the 2 health extra. So I am pretty sure that this is a worse version of Felons, and yeah, it's cool, the Tentacles, but it's a worse version of Velen. Velen is rotating out of standard, that's true. So, but it's not gonna be good enough, right? Come on, we are not gonna pay 5 mana to get +2/+6, guys. Come on. I don't think that is ever gonna be good enough. But yeah. We'll see. I don't know, it cannot be strong enough. Maybe you will sometimes pick it up in arena, but I don't think this is it's gonna be strong enough. This is also a token card we will come to. On the Hunt, deal 1 damage, summon a 1/1 Mastiff. And a Mastiff is an 1 mana, well, doesn't matter, but it's an 1/1. Without charge, it's a dog, it's a beast, I think, so. But I think it's not gonna be good enough. It's a really good card and it's fine. But making this, getting this a spot in a control hunter and like dealing 1 damage, it's so little. Like, it's so little, it doesn't really clear stuff. It's like, it's more to clean up stuff. And yeah, it's like an Elven Archer, and you summon and you gain it on board. So I see this exactly as an Elven Archer, as a beast, but for me this is an Elven Archer. And Elven Archer is a fine card. It works sometimes really well, so it's a good design for a control hunter that has some problems. It has good synergy with Hunter's Mark. It has, yeah, it can sometimes be the cleanup for a hunter that doesn't have a hero power that deals with it. So maybe you want to play it in your mid-range hunter. I can see it. So yeah, it's like it's like good synergy with Hunter's Mark. It has good synergies, and that makes the card reasonable. Value is a bit low, but yeah, you cannot expect too much value from a 1 mana card. Maybe Unlock and Load Hunter can get better by this design, and that is a good card because you wanna do that more. Maybe I know there are also Malygos Hunter decks, and this card can also go face. Not that good, of course, but yeah, maybe it can be a thing. It's a cool design for sure, and it makes the Control Hunter and more late mid-range Hunter, maybe Malygos Hunter more viable. We'll see if it will find an. I think it will find maybe an one-off place in these decks. Value is just a bit low, so we'll see. Nerubian Prophet. At the start of your turn, reduce this card cost by 1. So it's a 4/4. When do we want to play a 4/4? I think for 3 mana it's okay. So you need to have this card in 3 turns in your hand to play it for 3 mana. Can even wait longer with it. So let's say you have it in your starting hand and you keep it and you go first. Then it costs 5 mana at turn 1. It costs 4 mana at turn 2. You can play it at 3 mana as a 3/4. At 3 mana as a 4/4, but later in your game you might play it for 1 or 2 mana. But I don't. It's a bit of an. I mean, it's a bit of an. How do you call it? That it's. Yeah, it's so situational, man. Like, it's so bad of a top deck. Like, it's a card you want to keep in your starting hand or get and still have options and then play it later. Sometimes you might play in 2 mana 4/4. That's good. Maybe if you can make like decks around this, then it can work. But you need to play a questionable card that doesn't have insane. It's not gonna give you insane value. It's gonna be in 2 mana 4/4, but it's nice and it will help. But you have to put in. You're playing for that reason a questionable card that is a horrible top deck that is just super situational and it doesn't give you like a super insane effect. So I think it's not gonna be good enough. I think it's an okay card and you can always pick this one up and you can always try it in your decks because often it will work. But yeah, you need to have it in your hand. You need to keep it maybe to play it as a turn 3 or 4. You want to have still other cards. It's not a bad card to get, but nah, don't think it will. I don't think it will be strong enough. It's a bit situational. Two mana, 2/4. Net the Darkfisher. At the start of your opponent's turn, you have a 50% chance to draw an. On your opponent's turn, they have a 50% chance to draw an extra card. So you play in 2 mana 2/4. And your opponent has a chance to draw. Okay, that's pretty bad. So the only way when this card can be good is in mill decks somehow. But come on, you don't want to play this card. 2 mana 2/4 minion. That's not a card you want to play in a mill deck. Nah, it's so bad, man. They have a 50%. Yeah, you don't want to play in situational 2 mana cards in a mill deck. Hope that they draw. You can mill them in way better ways. And yeah, this is not a card you want to play as a 2-drop. At least I don't think you want. What is the reason to do that? Yeah, it's like the evil design of the net pay goal. I can see that, but yeah, it's really bad, right? 2 mana 2/4 is not even that flashy and you give your opponent options to draw. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Yeah, you have better ways to mill. This is a troll card. Cool design, but not gonna make it in constructed. 4 Might Knight Drake. 4 mana dragon. Okay, that's interesting. 1/4. Battle grind. Gain 1 attack for each other card in your hand. Okay, so it's an Twilight Drake with gaining attack. So let's say you have like 4 cards in your hand. It's a 5/4. If you have more cards, it's like can go insane. Might be good for dragon decks, can see that. It's a bit more, like 4 HP is a bit weak. Like 4 health on a 4-drop is, it's not like really optimal. So we have already, like, in dragon decks, will it get any place? So 4 mana 1/4, you gain +1 attack for, yeah, I think it's a bit weak. It's cool. It's hard to put also off the battle crew. Like it, I think it's like a fine card and it's okay. Maybe in super heavy dragon decks, but we are now at a spot where we have enough dragons and they are also good. And I think this one is just not good enough compared to other dragons, compared to Twilight Drake, compared to Twilight Guardian. Twilight Guardian is a 3/6, sometimes a 2/6. It's just not good enough, not better than a Twilight Guardian. So I think it will never get the 4th spot. Yeah, it can be on 6/4 sometimes. It's gonna be reasonable. It's gonna be okay. But it's not gonna be as flashy as some other dragon cards are. And imagine that dragon cards have already insane value. You need these defensive dragon cards to make the real big dragons work. Has no synergy with other dragons because it's a battle cry. So if it goes on board, doesn't work. Yeah. Oh, this is the Mastiff we talked about, the hunter card that you get. 1 mana 1/1 beast. Look at the dog, cool design. And this is the many Wisps card. Do you remember, guys, the guy that announced the Whispers of the Old Gods? Well, this is how it looks. 7 Wisps. 6 mana, guys. Yeah. Cannot all be good, right? Malkorok. Legendary for the warrior. 7 mana, 6/5. Battle cry, equip a random weapon. Random weapon. That is not a warrior weapon, that's a random weapon. And that's pretty bad. Right? Yeah, you don't want to play this card, man. You will get these horrible situations. There's like a Blingtron only for yourself. Where you get like, you will see these situations where you get Cursed Blade and then you never want to play this card again. I mean, even if you get like a Despite rotates out. If you get a True Silver, what is really good weapon, then it might be fine. This card is so, I don't know, so heavy RNG. This is so bad for 7 mana. I think it's bad. The average weapon is around 2-3 mana, I think 3 mana. And then it's just not good. It is a fun card for sure. You can play it in a lot of fun decks. But it's bad. Come on. We have 5 mana cards that you play for 6/5. You get a random weapon. Warrior has already ability of get some good weapons, so I don't think that's good. Well, I mean, if you compare it, if you consider this, the stats being worth 5 mana, you want a weapon that is worth 2 mana. So why is it bad? But yeah, it's like RNG, I don't know. It's not that bad. It's okay. But I don't like it, just because of the design, where this card can singly lose you some games, or there are also really horrible weapons, so I think it's between horrible and okay. I think it's between that. Because there are so many really, really bad weapons, like Light Justice, Cursed Blade, and what do you have on like the 2-3 weapons are not that good. And when you get a True Silver, it's good, but nah, this It's like a really card you don't want to play, I think. Inconstructed. Too much RNG. That can go really wrong, and the benefit is too low.